What's popular YouTube? Another day, another demo, and we are into the top 19 now on this channel. Top 20 day is upon us for HLTV. They're going to be releasing their list right now, and we're going to try to stay ahead of them. Now we do have something, and I'm gonna get right to the player that I picked in the beginning. We're gonna talk about some other stuff right here. And we're just going to go ahead with the list because now we've got my list out. We've got the other list. We've taken a look at some of your lists over on Twitter. Here is a list that came out yesterday from HLTV detailing their top 10 teams of 2020. In keeping up with the tradition from the last 2 years, we close out 2020 with our top 10 teams list, top 10 teams of the year list. Okay, crush the world rankings numbers from this unique years full of surprises, to determine who the best teams were based on how many points they earned through the last 12 months, both in total on average per tournament attended and unaffected by decay over time and lineup changes. Okay. So this list immediately, this one was like interesting to me. Okay. I'm going to cut right to why. We got Liquid here at number 7. I have Elige at the bottom of my top 20 list for HLTV's predictions. But here's a list that has the top 10 teams all the way down to Astralis in number 1, Na'Vi in number 2, and if this was my list, Vitality would be number 1. I could explain why. Let me go ahead and talk about our player first. Maybe come back to this list. How about that? All right. So first of all, my number 19 for the prediction for me is Volda. For my prediction for HLTV is Yuri. Now, after seeing that list, I was a bit nervous. If Liquid, who couldn't even win in North America, and then continually dropped in rankings throughout the year until they got to Europe, and then only did well at the IEM Global Challenge in their entire run, got top 7 in terms of orgs in the year over. Let's say, for example, where's OG? In the top 10 orgs of the year, we had OG. They're at number 7 right now, and they did nothing but climb this year. I guess because Liquid spent more time falling out of top 10. But we look at Liquid, for example. I mean, they didn't have an impressive year. They had a nice end. They jumped 7 spots by getting second at the IEM Global Challenge. Let's look at that event. We have a win over Heroic. We have a loss to the only 2 top teams. And we have the one big win versus Big and an overcome win versus Furia. But this is Furia who beat them 9 out of 10 times or something in North America. This is the one match they won this year that meant anything. So again, we had Heroic, who they had a really bad string of events. I don't know how to find this. This one's not completely adding up to me. I will be honest. 5th to 8th, 5th to 8th, 5th to 8th, 7th to 8th, right? Like, they just started losing. This was their first place win streak. 3rd at Pro League, 1st at Europe, 1st at Open Fall, which was very deceptively hard. But then they started losing. So Liquid beat them. I was like, okay, that's a good win. But, then they lose to Na'Vi. And then they get this important win over Furia, who they played like, a million times this year, beat them like once or twice. It did maybe matter the most, this one, you could say, but still. And then they beat Big, and then they just got stomped out by us. I mean, I don't really know, So now I'm wondering how high players like Elige can be on a list. If, Liquid can be a top 10 org this year. Kind of a surprise to me personally. But yeah, that makes me wonder where the placings will be. I just put these guys at the end for HLTV because I didn't know where to place them. I didn't know how much would count for the second half of the year versus the first. They only came over to Europe in October, November. And then I think we had 4 or 5 events in total played. So, you know, that's 2 seasons of Pro League in NA. That's DreamHack Masters in NA. That's Blast and NA. Blast Showdown, Blast Finals in NA. That's Cologne in NA. They didn't play many events in Europe. But I don't know how much it matters. So we'll see. We'll see what this means. Yuri is a player who I think is incredible, and I have him higher up. I have him higher up just because I believe he would have been a better player over a longer period of time. That's about as far as I can go with it. The game I picked was from his best rated event. Let's go ahead and just fawn over Yuri's stats a little bit before we get into the demo. Okay. This year, it's been a sea of green. It's been a sea of seaweed for Yuri. We've got 2 events with a negative KD. Everything else has been golden. Beautiful stuff. In this year, they were the best org in North America. They won New York. They won Pro League. They won Open Summer. They won Pro League again. They won DreamHack Masters Spring. They won, they topped everything in North America, basically. EG were their only real rivals. And then they overcame that. When they got to Europe, where some of these events are down here, the placing started to drop off a little bit. But Yuri did not. Where some of his teams started to fail, Yuri continued to play well. Blast Premier Fall Series, 1.15 rating, 10th to 12th. He was not ready to stop here. Blast Fall Finals, he had the 1.06. He was going above and beyond. I think him and Henny were pretty much the only bright spots on the team for the first couple events. They started to get it together. This was overall, I think, pretty impressive to see that Yuri could continue to be good, even jumping over to North America. I feel like if I was a player, I would be the one who would do, if I did well in North America, coming over to Europe, I would get caught off guard. I would fall off a bit. Like, that's why I'm so impressed by what Yuri did for that reason. His stats dropped off a little bit versus the top 5 teams. It's still very respectable. These would be considered very high. So, you know, this is still very respectable. Overall form was great. Important matches were great. Big match player, in my opinion. Lots of good positions that he played. The glue of the team goes unnoticed because he's not particularly aggressive, not particularly defensive. Just would get the multi-frag when you needed it. Nothing but good things to say about Yuri. Going over to his all-time stats, I mean, this guy is mad consistent in all categories. KAST, low deaths per round. Like, 0.60 is extremely low. 0.64 is very, very good. A high impact rating, a super high ADR, like way, way, way up there. And he's just a very, very good player, man. He's the kind of player you can put on almost any team. He's like a Crims. He would just fill a slot that would just be like 2 kills around on CD side. But what we're going to look at today is a T side, where he played versus Virtus.pro on Furia, on Train, from his best event. So the Blast Premier Fall Showdown. Let's see where he was on the showdown. He was ranked number 2 behind Config for this, but he had 9 maps, and I think got first or third on this event. So top the group, and and we go to his matches, or we go to. Let's just show, how we get there, basically. So we go Yuri, his stats, go to his events, and we go to what was his best event. Oh, it's 2021 filter now. That's so weird. Happy New Year, by the way, everybody. I hope you stayed safe last night and or the night before if you're Australian. And yes, are still happy and healthy. Okay, so here it is, the showdown. I'm going to look at his matches for the showdown. And we're going to see he pulled a 1.40 versus Liquid, which again, they just constantly stop Liquid. I wouldn't put too much stock into that. But a 1.98 rating versus Virtus.pro on Train of all maps, which is a great map between this veto, because they both play. So here it is, 31 kills overall. and a great first and second half in general. Even better T-half, 137 ADR, 14.5 T-half. So we've got to look, and where we get a T-half that's this special, we've got to look at it. So let's go ahead, jump into the game. I'm going to keep it going the way it is. I really was like, I think someone in the comments yesterday, sorry, I should shout you out, but thank you for pointing out the world rankings and how Liquid are there. That made me realize that, okay, I'm not exactly sure how they're going to rate these different players. And of course, with an emphasis on EVPs and MVPs, Valda is somebody who might be higher up than I expected as well. But who cares? It's just for fun. Let's just see what happens. I didn't put Valda quite as high because he had like kind of inflated stats. Just the team, like I think he performed exceptionally well, specifically at some of the opens and stuff like that they did. So I didn't rate his stats quite as high as like Montu, who he had a super high rating specifically versus their hardest competition, which I thought was pretty impressive. We got something of a fake, but you never forget about Ivy, right? Okay, this is pretty brave. Now you hear someone at the corner still waiting. Wow, it's actually quite brave. He just walks out, and he knows that they're probably going to try to peek him soon. Let's see if he thinks he's their old bomb. Oh, he's just kind of saying, screw it, and there's a chance that the bomb comes outside. So this is the beauty of Furia, right? See how brave Yuri is in this position? Like, people could have just... Like, I feel like any normal player would have just waited an Ivy a little bit longer, waited for some more entries to come out, and then push. But he decided to come out early. He found this timing. Just trusted it. And now they've got to get the bomb back. He's got the headshot in. He's trying to bait out some... Oh, no, he got the kill. What the... All right, a Steam notification pop up in front of me. And now it's Buster looking for a 1-on-2. And they can plant back bomb. Someone should watch the ramp here, I feel like. Or the middle of the bomb. They have no idea where he is. And now they're all just going to scurry. It's always unnerving because you don't know if they're flanking or where they could be coming from. And there's not a very great cover here on the B side. You've got to keep moving. The good spots are way in the back here. Yuri's not comfortable. And there it is. The flank does come through, but he wins the duel. Beautiful stuff. Beautiful round. But I can't believe how fast he moved with that Ivy lurk. That was kind of shocking to me because I think, if I was Furia, the first thing I would think is everybody's going to be holding everything we do for a long time. Plus, they saw me at Ivy already. But I guess the counter to that is like, go a little bit faster than you would expect. Don't wait for the guy to come back to catch the late timing on you. Come out a bit sooner. Maybe play that mind game. Oh, finding it hard to try to reset my sleep schedule. I've been watching everyone play Rust on Twitch and playing it myself, and then my face feels like I feel like I got punched. But this is good. I like that we're uploading earlier. Number one, and I like to get this done first in the beginning of the day. It opens up the rest of my day. It's like an entry frag. So start my day with a 5v4. So keys to Ivy here. See, Kicker comes flying out. He tries to find a quick timing. It doesn't work as Vinny's already done some damage as well, and now 2 are spotted. So 1 old bomb, 1 spotted Z. They have info on 3 of the 4 players remaining. So they could probably take Inner in this spot, and Yuri can just like take his time and work this. The Ivy is the place where they're going to try to save, so I think Yuri wants to fight number 1 because they're pretty easy kills. He's got range at Ivy, and they're going to end up wanting to go there anyway. So that nade is to land in the middle of the bomb train. Sometimes it can be countered to the nades that people throw into Z. If you throw your nades into Z, you have to go into a specific spot. It's very, very, like, you can just toss them high over the train, but they're not going to be very effective or do a lot of damage. You can bounce them off the wall right here and then have them land to the back of blue, but ideally you yourself get into a better spot to throw the nade so it goes right into T-Con properly. It's a very awkward angle. And you want to like double nade it if possible, right? Watch EG play train and they'll throw it at least once a half. The triple nade from T-Con. Or to T-Con. So you see establishing control. This is what I talk about all the time. Back 6 control with the back 6 smoke. This makes Yuri the most valuable, person on the team. He covers everyone. He holds the corner. He makes sure that Ivy is held. He can compromise all the spots on the train. Retakes become very difficult with Yuri in that position. That's the key position on the outside site in a lot of rounds. Key position. So let's see if Furia, favor it more than once. We've got the lurk coming out. They're going for the back lane's control from the exact same. It's not the exact same way, but they're getting it. They're getting the same amount of control. You see how they're approaching it now? Yuri's going top of the train here, but they have 2 players back 6 with the smoke. Oh, the protocols make a lot of sense to me. And we pull up with the good spray control, and it's 13-6 already. Very, very fast game so far. Oh, missed a Molotov. This one was 4 sandwich, and he's throwing that preemptively, so if they molly into Olaf, he doesn't die, and he doesn't want to throw out the smoke late because then he takes some damage. But he gets peeked because he misses his molly, and the round actually kind of gets flipped on its head here. This would be, it's kind of insane how important that Molotov was, right? He wouldn't have died, and they would have kept numbers if he didn't accidentally bump it off of the train. But let's see if they bring it back. Furia particularly good in the 4v5s, which gives them a lot of strength in the 5v4s to be confident about the way they take duels. If you're in a 5v5 situation on T side, a lot of maps back in the day used to be favored 5v5 to the CT side. Almost all maps, except for Dust 2, which was slightly T favored. And there might have been one other map at the time, but like Train, Nuke, Overpass, everything was pretty. Oh, and Cobble. Cobble might have was slightly T favored as well. Dust 2 and Cobble, the only 2 maps that were slightly T favored. But for the other maps, let's say Inferno, which was very CT favored, or Train, if you got it to a 4v4, suddenly it wasn't CT favored anymore. Suddenly in a 4v4, even those even trades, it can become quite T favored, so depending on how you play it. So the idea was on the T side was you'd be willing to try to take a risk, a 50-50 duel, to get it to 4v4. Ideally, it's 60-40, 70-30, but you can't always ask for that. But the scary part for the CT side was the Ts are always just looking for just a 50-50 duel, because if that could get them to 4v4 early, then they can mid-round really work it, and the CTs get uncomfortable. And the reason that, there might be a couple of reasons why maps were very or more tier T favored in the 4v4. Probably one of them is that when you talk about setups, people talk about setups a lot more in the 5v5 situations. So CTs would be like, you watch this, I watch this. These are our opening positions. This is what's covered. And then when you break it down to a 4v4, the CTs, they're lacking one very important defender. They might not have a situation that's like ideal for them in a 4-on-4 situation. And it could be, and they'd have to have a number of setups because it could be any of their CT friends that have died, right? It might not just be one position that gets attacked or one player that gets attacked over and over again. And yeah, in all maps, they kind of have this critical mass where if you have 5 CTs, you can cover everything so adequately you barely have to move. But as soon as you lose a player, like suddenly there's too many choke points to watch on the outside. Like, let's say Yuri comes up Ivy here, smokes the right side, wraps back lanes, and they drop ladder, and they have T-Con control, and they, you know what I mean? There's too many ways to attack the site to be comfortable low on numbers. Train is a very unique map in the way that, you play 4-1 a lot of the time. And the fact that Ivy exists. I think this is the very special part of the map. This adds a third choke point to outside attacks, and it's a very difficult choke point to win in general. Here's another situation where we're looking for the lurk. You see that Yuri moves right when Art. He moves right when Art gets his kill. It's his last second chance. Now they're going to try to rush Art to get the kill, and Yuri's going to try to come up there to support. Ideally, you're with your teammate in the 2v whatever and trying to peek with him. Oh my god. How did you Kinder get there? That was a pretty smart move. I guess they heard him running towards ladder, so very nicely done by Virtus.pro, honestly. That was really cool. Ooh, a Sanji punished. Inside sandwich. And I think this is kind of a one-way. I don't know. I think he realizes it too, but he's going to try to use it. Only he has to go left side peek, which makes it a bit awkward, but okay. 2v4. Middle of the bomb site control. He can plant. Teammate can plant and look for Ivy. It's nuts that Yuri can just win duels like that. He is so insane. Wow. He has just 2 headshots inside Z. Knows one's old bomb / Ivy. And they don't know where the last guy is, it seems like. But they go for the double peek, and Kickert will trade. Nerve-wracking situation for Kickert. But both players get 1 kill. Okay. Comes very close. Very good try. You can see how much pressure on this left side that they're putting on for Furia. I really like the way they think about these T-side rounds. I mean, sometimes you can get mystified by the fact that Furia are this crazy team that are so explosive and stuff, but they do, like, they have fundamentals. They just have their kind of unique versions, and they have, like, which I don't know if that's like, I don't know if fundamentals have to be agreed upon, but they have, they have a base that they always use, right? Like, I mean, ultimately, Art has a bunch of plays that look insane, but he has a few plays that they're like a bunch of pocket plays, and he uses them. Ultimately, you can learn all the things that Art does by watching his demos and seeing the patterns that he has. But yeah, he fits it into his system with his unique plays and a number of them, and then by the end of it, the whole thing just looks extremely chaotic. But of course, there still is rhyme and reason. They aren't just pugging. They still understand, like, what is the value of certain parts of map control, what we want to get out of rounds. How they approach it is where things change, and what, messes people up on the other side. I think Kinder likes Furia, but he said that it's going to be hard to play for them to win a lot with their style in Europe. He said there are teams that would be able to learn. Now, it is easy for him to say, because I think he was saying that after losing to Furia in one of their matches. But it is true that... Uh-oh, that's a bit too much of a spread. It is true that that Furia got completely dismantled by Astralis. Astralis were the team this year to make it seem like Furia would not be able to keep their style the way it is. It was that strong of a performance from Astralis. It was so calculated in a way that you could see that the game plan was specifically tailored and perfectly fitting. And it did involve a lot of patience, but yeah. It was kind of the game that never really got started. You can see they're putting real emphasis on information at all the times, and they find James. So now we're into what could be the last round of the game. It is kind of just pistols. Yuri is joining them over on the B side instead of lurking Ivy this time around. I'm liking the positions that we're seeing from Yuri and how he plays them. Almost always readying himself in the clutch, and just wants this duel on Kickert. And he will find one. They're going to forget about their flank and just go for the trades here. The oil player dies, and we've got to win one more duel. Sanji's out. Nice round from Yuri. Game, set, match. Intro didn't play again. Let's go. That is it for today. I got to upload quick before the list comes out. I hope you enjoyed that. I'm really looking forward to seeing the rest of this list. And I'll see you tomorrow a little bit earlier to reveal my number 18 and my prediction for HLTV's number 18. So cheers, and we'll talk about the list tomorrow as well, the articles as they come out. Hope you enjoyed that. Take care, guys. See you tomorrow. Happy New Year.